Hi, I'm here in my windswept home studio, as you can hear, and today we're going to answer a pretty big question. What is this thing called a brand? You've probably heard of brand and branding, but a lot of people with small businesses think, well, it's not really something for me. It's something that the whole big corporations do, and I don't really need to think about that. But it's not quite so. It's very relevant to small business, and it's probably the most powerful marketing tool that you can use. So what is it? Well, before we go into that, I want to be clear on one thing that it is not. A brand is not a logo. Sure, logo is a very important part of the brand. It's a very important element, but it is not the brand itself. The concept of brand is much, much bigger. You could say that a brand is everything that comes to mind and all the emotions that you feel when someone mentions a particular product or service or company or even a person. You could say it's a mental and emotional picture in people's minds of that particular thing. Now, this is important. In people's minds. A brand is what people out there say it is. A brand is not what the company says it is. I cannot tell you what my brand is without going out there and asking people and getting information from them on how they see me. I can tell you how I would like to be perceived and what I would like my brand to be, but I can't tell you what it is without asking them. A brand, and the brand, is the reason that we don't just buy a computer or a pair of sports shoes or a cola drink. When we go and buy a computer, we'll buy, for example, a Dell or an Apple or an HP. And when we go and buy sports shoes, we might buy Nike or Adidas. And when we buy that black, sugary, carbonated drink, most of the time we'll be buying either Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola. Now, these brands are so much more than that single little product that you're buying. You're buying into a whole world of mental and emotional connections and imagery and thoughts and all these elements and connections that are surrounding these brands. And because these companies have built up these brands around their products, they're worth a lot of money. The brand is worth a lot of money. Interbrand is an international branding agency, and they annually publish a report where they value the worth of the world's largest brands. Now, these figures only represent the value of the brand. We're not talking all this sort of, like if you have factories or you have loads of assets or what have you. These are not taken into account. This is merely the value of that mental and emotional picture and connection that people have to this brand. Now this, among other things, the brand means that they can charge more. I mean, we know that we buy Apple for a lot more money than we buy a lot of other things. They have loyal customers, and these customers will choose to buy this brand above other offerings in the marketplace. It doesn't have to cost a fortune to build up a brand. It's well within the means of a small business to do it. It's a marketing tool that small business should be using, as well as big companies and companies of all shapes and sizes. It's not about money. It's about putting in the thought and the effort and the work of building a brand that can give you that edge in the marketplace. Al Rees, who we mentioned last week, he was asked what special rules apply to small business and marketing. And he said there were two rules. The first rule being think big, and I totally agree with him on that. It doesn't mean you have to be thinking, oh, I'm going to build a big business. You might be just happy to have your small family-run business in your local town or what have you, but do think big, because that will enable you to do so much more with it. And rule number 2, follow the laws of marketing. And Al Ries would agree that one of the major laws of marketing is that the brand is at the core of all of it. Another fantastic marketing thinker and a favorite of mine is Seth Godin. And he says, often a small business will run into problems when the owners don't take the time early on to understand and build their individualized brand. Small business becomes bigger when their marketing strikes a chord. They fail when they struggle to stay average. Now, he also says, and this is a huge statement to make, he says, if you build your brand right, you won't need to allocate more funds for marketing. Very big and bold statement, but I wholeheartedly agree with him. Now, this was a fairly short and simple explanation of what a brand is. Below you'll find definitions from various sources, and I think you'll find that they're really saying the same thing, but putting it forward in different words and different ways. Next week we're going to start to look at what branding is. That is, how do we build that brand? And if that brand is in the mind of the customer, is it mind control? How do we do it? And I look forward to seeing you then.